A very good afternoon to everyone. It's my pleasure to be moderating this very interesting session with Professor Omar Besbes, who's the Director of AI and Business Initiative at Columbia Business School. And in conversation with him is Mr. K Pandey, who's the Deputy DG of Aadhaar Services Division, NIC. Firstly, sir, welcome to NXT. Professor Besbes, we've had the pleasure of hearing you in the morning as well. Thank you to both of you for joining us. We were just having a discussion with parliamentarians on digital governance. But here are two individuals who actually work on the technology, on the policy, and on explaining to government what really needs to be done. So a very important conversation. Let me begin with Mr. K Pandey. Mr. Pandey, when we talk about Aadhaar as a concept, sir, over 1.4 billion Aadhaar cards issued in India, is that correct? That's a Herculean task. That's a gigantic number. What does this milestone truly indicate as far as digital governance is concerned?
Actually, in India, we are having a 12-digit number, Aadhaar card, and it is started way back in 2008. But in India, what is there, that Aadhaar is the digital identity of a person. I mean, that all your biometric, your face ID, and as well as your address, it is basically represented by this 12-digit number. So what is there, actually, just in my previous session, it was already discussed that how the digital infrastructure is being created and it is in progress in India. So Aadhaar is basically one of the major milestones to deliver the services. For example, I'm giving you one example. I'm looking after the Aadhaar system division. So previously there was, as you are aware, many government servants have been retired and they have to give a life certificate annually so that they can get their benefit, their pensions regularly in their account. So previously what was there, people has to personally visit a bank branch or their pension disbursing authority to submit that life certificate. Obviously they are old and India is a big country and there are many unreachable places. People are living, someone is living, they are basically from a remote area, but right now they are living in Delhi. So obviously they will have to go to their native place. So recently it has changed. We have all that now. You have to submit your Aadhaar number and it using the face auth, it automatically identifies whether you are the same person, or you can give your life certificate using biometric. The transfer directly transferred to your pension disbursing authority, and you need not to visit any bank, you need not to visit any pension disbursing authority, and it automatically, no need to stand in queue. And obviously, because previously it was manual process, now it is completely digitalized. So using this type of service, this type of system, we can deliver the government services to the citizen easily.
And that's where the intersection of social justice comes, Professor Besbes, as far as digital governance is concerned. Because more than just technology, we do want to ensure that digital governance and everything under that reaches the last mile. And India is a fantastic example of how that works. I just want to quickly get in your thoughts as well. When we talk about certain specific models of digital governance, what really stands out to you?
So indeed, I mean, one thing that the question that one wants to ask themselves is, what does digital governance allow to do that we couldn't do before? And indeed, this was a great example, but then we can go the next step. How can this help in terms of financial inclusion? How can we help people get loans that they wouldn't be able to get otherwise? And that's the power, in some sense, of digital governance. And I want to highlight that, there's digital governance in the public sector, but in the private sector as well. I mean, one area that I've been researching quite a lot is e-commerce. How can people transact online? And in a way there's a lot of innovations that have to come into play. And how do you bring strangers to be able to transact? And an important component there is trust. How do you build trust? Government has trust, but a private entity doesn't necessarily have trust. So innovation there has happened, for example, through the development of reputation systems that has allowed strangers to transact with themselves, strangers to host other people in their homes or in their cars and things of the sort.
Mr. Pandey, on that note, because Aadhaar, as Professor Besbes is also pointing out, that when digital governance models come in from the government, there is some level of trust. But as far as Aadhaar or other services are concerned, I want to understand from you, it was launched in 2008, it's been very successful, but if we were to talk about the next steps, is there something that is being planned as far as public-private partnership in digital governance is concerned? As Professor Besbes was also pointing out, that the private sector is somewhere that digital governance is also very relevant.
Actually, just want to share one thing. Actually, in India, we call it one major initiative government has started. We call it the India Stack. I mean, in case I want to deliver anything to the citizen or anything to the business, all that I need identity, I need a payment channel, I need a document. So India Stack is basically an open API, open platform. You can use Aadhaar with UPI. UPI is basically a payment delivery system of India. You can use Aadhaar with API, so obviously you can deliver financial service to any citizen. You can use Aadhaar with DigiLocker.
Yes.
You can go ahead with the DigiYatra type of app. In airport, you can move out directly without any showing any document. And in case, suppose you want to submit an application to a government, like a scholarship application, whatever it is, you submit your Aadhaar, because Aadhaar is again biometrically identified, and get the data from the DigiLocker, and you need not to submit a physical form, and directly it's an electronic form, and you can submit the free using any online system. So using these three systems, even I think one more thing, I'm giving you one more example. Right now, all the players like telecom players, Airtel and Jio, they are not doing any physical eKYC. They all are doing the authentication using Aadhaar.
Yes.
So that's an example how we are using the government ecosystem for the private.
But then, I just want to then understand from you, Mr. K Pandey, how does the government, when it comes to the issue of privacy as well as trust, how does one deal with that, and how do you keep improving on that as well as you go? Because the world is becoming more and more digital as we speak. And with that do arise some concerns over privacy, over data hacking. There's always, conversations about social security numbers or other such digits getting leaked or hacked. How does one then keep themselves prepared for this?
As far as Aadhaar is concerned, it's a completely secured system. Actually, one more thing, actually, when we are dealing with the Aadhaar, so we are not storing any biometric detail in any device.
Right.
Actually, the Aadhaar repository is very strong, and Aadhaar is having their own data center with all type of security measure. No one can hack the biometric detail. And even though, in case someone want to do the interaction with Aadhaar, all the information are encrypted. They are traveling in a secured network, digital infrastructure network, and all the information are completely, you can say it's highly encrypted, and even the, that we call in a technical term, HSM machines, they are well in place, and I think hacking of biometric data is almost impossible in this ecosystem. It's a complete robust ecosystem, and end-to-end security is being ensured by all the entities.
All right, Professor Besbes, I want your thoughts on this as well, because you work more from a policy point of view as well. What does your research indicate? And if you were to advise governments, because like I said, the world is becoming more digital, and we rely so much so that I today do not carry any cash. I hardly carry a wallet, because in India, as Mr. S.K. Pandey has also pointed out, we have so many many digital facilities beyond the Aadhaar. We have the UPI, and that's been adopted widely across India. So you would, if you're going to the smallest of stores on our streets today, you would find QR codes, and we are all transacting essentially through our phones. But with that, of course, comes certain concerns. Like I said, over hacking. The world is becoming digitally advanced, but at the same time a little dangerous as well. So if you were to advise, what is it that we need to focus on next?
I think a big question indeed is what's next, and the next layer of digital governance will not be about information flows, but it will be about AI agents. Now, you may have an agent that takes decisions on your behalf, that goes and shop on your behalf. How do we ensure that the right authentication happens? You might have your agent communicating with someone else's agents to lead to transactions. How do we make sure that these transactions are secure? Because these agents are going to introduce another layer of risk from the perspective of the platforms and potentially of the government. So the question is, how do you prepare for this new governance layer when it's not anymore individuals who interact with each other, but rather agents that interact on behalf of individuals?
That's a very excellent point. Mr. Pandey, I want to understand then from your perspective, when we talk about the integration of AI into the world, your thoughts on the same. How is the government preparing on how to deal with AI agents coming up? And is AI being used towards creating certain newer forms of digital governance as well? Is there any sort of AI integration that's taking place?
Yeah, there are many applications where government is using AI. It's like you can say in India, almost all the portals, I'm giving you an example. I think you must have the word, the Bhashani.
Yes, Bhashani AI.
Yeah, Bhashani,
yes.
It's a Government of India initiative. Actually, rather than LLM models, it focuses mostly in the Indian context. The problem sometimes, in case we are using the Google or some other large level LLM model, so what happens, they just translate in context of their own language. And in India, many local languages are there. So Bhashani is a very good example how we are using the AI-based system in government. And because in India, large number of population live in the rural area. So almost now we are trying to get enabled the Bhashani, that our translation system in our apps. So that in case, obviously it's, you can say it will bring bridge between digital divide. Right now, what happened, many times people are not familiar with English. So that's the problem. They are not able to use the app correctly. So we are using Bhashani, and there are other apps, other AI models also government is exploring to give the citizen.
But Mr. S. Pandey, what's astonishing truly about India is the fact that we've had such a rapid adoption of digital services. And that's truly a remarkable story and a remarkable journey. What is it that other countries can perhaps, or what would you advise other countries and governments in terms of how do you get people to adopt technology quickly and get them to trust that technology as well? The reason why all of us have an Aadhaar, I have a digital Aadhaar, I have DigiLocker, I have DigiYatra, I have UPI, I have all of it in my phone, and I can't operate without it. I solely depend on all of these applications, government applications. How does one build that trust? And at the same time, what would you suggest other countries can perhaps learn from us in terms of getting people on board?
You see, for the countries like India, first of all, an ecosystem like Aadhaar, an ecosystem like UPI. I told you now, actually, in case you want to deliver something to the citizen, obviously you only need three things. First, how to identify the citizen. So in case you have that biometric or digital identity system, obviously it will be a gold record for the citizen to deliver the service. Next thing is the delivery of services. So DBT is there, as in earlier session they have briefed about the DBT. And one more thing, in India we have integrated Aadhaar into our banking system also. So that suppose I want to deliver some sort of the payment or some sort of in-kind service to you or to somebody else whose Aadhaar is seeded in our system, who is my beneficiary, I can directly transfer that money to his account. And his account is again verified by the same Aadhaar number. So obviously the leakage of the money will not be there. So what I feel, for any country who is having a large population base, they want to deliver the services to the citizen, they must have some sort of the digital ecosystem, identification system like Aadhaar, and payment system like UPI, and obviously third one I told you, the DigiLocker.
Yes. Professor Besbes, I'll leave the last word with you as we wrap up. I want to understand from your perspective as well. The same thing, how do governments then focus on building trust but also getting people on board it? Because a lot of people want to study the India stack, as Sir was pointing out. And the fact that we've been so quick at the digital adoption for a country where a lot of people feel, oh, you know, India does not have the greatest literacy numbers. In India, a lot of people can barely use a smartphone, but they've all managed to open bank accounts. They've all managed to put those QR codes and completely understand how the system works. And that takes a lot of trust for a small vendor to believe that the money will actually reach their bank account. So what is it that perhaps one can learn from the India stack?
I think there are many countries that can learn a lot actually from this deployment at the scale of India, which is very impressive. And there are many also questions that arise now. What are other metrics that we can have? Are people more involved in the democracy? We heard earlier someone from Estonia who said, look, people can vote online. Would that lead to higher participations in elections across the board? We see across countries a decrease in participation in elections. Can this be used as a way to re-engage populations as well? So I think the combination of learning how one can do that at scale, but also what are other possibilities where one can leverage such systems. And I think there's a lot of exciting possibilities for many countries. And in a way, even in the US, we don't have such a digital system at scale. And there's a lot that one can learn there as well.
That's true, because, you know, as you mentioned, in the US, even in Europe, when we go to travel, we still do rely on our cards. And as I was telling you, none of us, I don't think most of us in the room carry wallets anymore. So that's the digital revolution that's taking place in India. But thank you so much, Professor Omar Besbes.
One more thing,
yes.
Actually, just answer one more thing. Actually, when we think about the delivery of the services, we first think governance first, digital next. So in India, we have again I think you have already familiar with the term the CSC, Common Service Center.
Yes.
So actually these are the center in the village area, where in rural area especially, and even the urban area. So in case a citizen is not familiar with the portals, with how to use that app, they may come to the CSC center, and all the government services are delivered digital, can be delivered through the CSC portal. So I mean, here I just want to mention one thing. Digital infrastructure is very good, but we in India also consider the governance first. In case citizen is not familiar with the digital part, so at least they are able to avail the services of government using these CSC center.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that in India we've been on a war footing in terms of educating the people about the services that are coming out. And like I said, it's astonishing to really study the India stack and understand how the government put their minds to it and then finally delivered. And today we're one of the fastest growing economies, not just in terms of GDP numbers, but also in terms of one of the fastest growing countries in terms of digital adoption. And with that, I thank both of our panelists for joining us for this session. Professor Omar Besbes of Columbia Business School and Mr. K Pandey, Deputy DG of Aadhaar Services Division, NIC. Thank you so much for joining us at Next.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to you all for being with us on that session. We're now going to take a very short break, just 10 minutes, and we're back. NXT 2026 continues. We have, of course, the chief guest, This evening, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, we have the Chief Justice of India. This evening, we have many more members of Parliament, CEOs, all of that. Back in 10 minutes.